Yeah, my name is Kourosh Dini. I wrote Creating Flow with OmniFocus. I'm a few things. I'm a psychiatrist. I'm a musician. I'm an author now. Family man, husband, father. Anyway, a lot of different things, and OmniFocus helps kind of bring it all together. My main central focus, I would say, is the interface between mind and technology. For whatever reason, it blows my mind. So, and OmniFocus is a way that we are using words to manipulate, arrange, deal with our intentions, and that just blows my mind. Anyway, so just thought I'd mention that. So anyway, let's get started here. So, this is I'm talking about the creative task group, or maybe a creative task group technique, and I tend to view tasks as being on this sort of spectrum. That on the one end we have concrete tasks, on the other end we have creative tasks, and really there's no sharp distinction, and we have this sort of blend between them. Really the difference is in the vision at the end of it, how clear it is to us. So on the one hand we have these concrete tasks like get milk. You know how to get milk. You know where to go. You know how to, you know, everything that has to deal with, maybe some traffic lights are different, but you know what to do. Creative tasks, on the other hand, don't have clear ends. These are write a book, but it could be things that you wouldn't normally think of as creative, such as write an email, perhaps, maybe a difficult email, or a piece of music, or anything that involves something that you don't know what the end vision will be. For me, I define creativity as the process of resolving vision. It is something that's developed. You find out what you are making in the act of making it. So whatever that is can be creative. So there's a utility in this distinction that creative tasks lend themselves more so to the work of creating the conditions in which to be creative. There are many, many examples. This is not meant to be exhaustive at all, but just for here, this might be designing an environment to minimize interruption, for example, or setting related work nearby and unrelated work away. An example might be for a distractible writer, not talking of myself, maybe, to create a specific user account without internet access and with only the application for writing there. So then if you want to do other stuff, you can, but you have to make the conscious acknowledgement that that's what you want to do. So you're not reactive about it. So a couple of utilities within OmniFocus are very helpful for this, among others, but I want to mention two here. One is that setting a repeat, and the other is gathering related materials. It doesn't seem like too much of something, but these are actually quite huge. By setting a repeat, among other things, it's a way of establishing a habit. And you can really move mountains with establishing habits and setting something to a repeat. And gathering related materials, and I'll show you both of these as well, when you can, again, bring related information, related files, related applications to where you want it to be, easily accessible at the point that it's relevant, that can help tremendously in actualizing and making the intentions that you want to actually develop. So this is not even the creative task group. This is a creative task, and I'll read it. I don't know how well it projects here. So on the top here I have write awesome book. It's set to a context of laptop. I have it set to repeat. Here I have repeating daily. I've added a flag because a flag for me is my way of, these are the things that I'd like to do today. And embedded within the task is the Book of the Fantabulous. And that is, I put that in there by drag, drop, while holding the control key. So that essentially puts an alias link into the task itself. So when you check off the task, the same task will appear tomorrow in any perspective where you can see available tasks that are flagged. And the Book of the Fantabulous awaits. You just double click on it and keep writing. And makes it very nice and simple to just get into that rhythm of working. So what is the creative task group? This might seem a little gimmicky to some, but for me I found it to be tremendously valuable. Because really it's not so much that the OmniFocus is doing the work so much as it is storing my intentions of what I want it to do. And here it is, that it's a sequential group with a creative task followed by either a concrete task or another creative task. So what does that mean? Basically, you want to be creative up until a point. You want to write that email for a while and then send it. And that sending is an easy thing. You just click send and it goes. Or a report or whatever it happens to be. And this is useful for several situations. One is for developing longer reports or emails, checking on things, arranging work in larger projects, or arranging sequences in series of projects. And I'll describe each one of these scenarios. So this is essentially the creative task group. And here we see write and turn in report. That's the top bit right there. Here I have continue drafting report. And then next to that I have what I use as a text expander snippet, actually, because I use this quite frequently, which is delete when complete. I'll explain that in a second. That's an important aspect. I have it set to laptop, repeat again, and there's a flag. And the other important point here is that this is set to sequential. I'll show you why that's important in a second. Here we are in planning mode. Okay. I just want to show you that what I've done here is that I've embedded within both of these tasks the same alias. So if I double click on either, or if I click on either of these, it'll go to the same file. And also in the email task, I have embedded a email address so that as soon as I click on that, my email client will open. It's just ready to go when I need it. Now let's see this actually in action, why this does anything. So here we are in context mode. And this is basically, like my daily something. And you can see that I'm continuing to draft report and delete when complete. And this is embedded among my other tasks. I have my communications. I'm sending a raven to King's Landing and getting milk. Okay. Check it off. Rest of my tasks are ready to go. Now back in planning mode, what happens is that both of these tasks are now unavailable. All right? So you won't see that, as we just saw. You won't see that task. It'll just be ready for me tomorrow. Now, when I delete it, however, the email report task will show up in my, amongst my other things. So what will happen is, for example, I have day 1, work on something, check it off. Day 2, work on something, check it off. Day 3, I think I'm done. I'll delete it. The email task is ready to go. And this is already within my, my context view. So I don't have to leave context view. I'm still working. So this is also useful for checking on things that need to finish without your attention before action. This is slightly different than waiting for. An example might be I'm waiting for a piece of music to upload before I upload another. I'm waiting for my photos to upload, to get into iPhoto, or whatever it is that might take, let's say half an hour, a few hours, something like that. And I have it running, and it's blocking the computer, and I keep checking. Is it done yet? Is it done yet? And that's something on my mind, and I don't want it on my mind. The point is I want to clear my mind for whatever else I'm doing. So what I can do is, and this seems like it might be excessive, but it really isn't. And I don't do this too often, so, but it's interesting. So I'll set the start again, actually, to 15 minutes. So the reason why this is not ridiculous is that how I've structured everything else. So here, check on music upload, delete when complete. I have it set to a first thing context, so it's like a priority context. And everything else is essentially the same. So what this does then is that I just have it, I check on the thing. If it's not done, I check it off. I go and do something else. If 10 minutes go by, then I'm not going to go check it yet. It's not there. I can go back on and do my work. And, but if 3 hours go by, I go back and that thing is sitting there waiting for me at the very top of the list. And I check, and if it's done, fine. If it's not, and fine. And I have a way of handling that. So anyway, I don't do that one too often, but I thought I'd mention it. For the large project, this is very useful, I find. So here's my next book I'm working on. It's called Workflow Beyond Productivity. I'm hoping it's going to be fantastic. I have no idea. Anyway. But you can tell that there's many, many aspects. This is within the writings folder. These are ideas that I've had, things that fleshed out into various projects and ideas. Anyway, this was like midway through it, and it's pretty much done almost, sort of, kind of. Anyway. 2 parts. We have the overview, which is the administrative aspect of the entire thing, and the thoughts to add, which is kind of like an inbox. If I was walking along the street and I had an idea for the book, I'd throw it in there, and later on I'd need to deal with that and say, okay, where's this going to go in the rest of these sort of things? So what I would do is, this is like the creative task, right? But then, what if I want to focus on the thoughts to add for a while? And it would take me weeks. So I would work on thoughts to add for a while, and when I was done with that, I could go to the larger scope of things. Or instead, what I could do is I could work on thoughts to add and then go to a specific section, for instance, and then go to the entire scope. And this is not firm, I can change this. But what it does for me is that it sets it in my mind. Where do I want things? You know, and that's what it really needs to do. It just needs to support my mindset about this. Anyway, so you can also use this for many larger projects, and here it's very useful. I use this quite often. I might have several major running projects going on. One of them might be writing the book. Another one might be world trip. I don't know, whatever. But the point is I have 3 of them going at the same time. And then when one of my major projects are done, I can delete it, and another one will move up. And this will make it very easy for me to have a way of just establishing 3 most important tasks of the day at any one time. And then it's good to go. So I hope that I was able to explain that well. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. Thank you.